Hi there! Thank you for your interest in our online ROVER training for death certificate completion. ROVER has been used to register birth certificates since 2009 and death certificates since 2010. Oklahoma funeral homes have been mandated by the state to use our system since July of 2012. So, let's get started. This is ROVER's main page. Here are a couple of keys to making your ROVER experience a great one. First, you can utilize any web browser of your choice. Second, ensure you have Adobe Acrobat Reader installed. These two programs work together to display our website and help you print draft files. To start, all you have to do is click on the Login button. To begin, log into ROVER using your assigned user credentials. Once logged in, you will see all records assigned to you in your Open Cases tab. Records can be assigned to you by the medical examiner when they have the decedent at their facility prior to you picking up, or possibly another funeral home started the case, but the family changed their mind and want your facility to handle the decedent. When you see a case pending in the Open Cases queue, you click Process to enter the data and get the record ready for the funeral director to sign. Sometimes, your funeral home will be starting the case if it has not been assigned to you by the medical examiner's office or another facility. For this training purpose, we will start a new record. On the ROVER starting screen, click on the word Death. Now click on the words Create Case. You will need to enter the 5 pieces of information to start the case. When you go through the system, you will want to use the Tab key on your keyboard to navigate. This will ensure that drop-down selections made are committed to the web page and will ensure you do not get warning pop-up messages unnecessarily. For this training record, I will enter the decedent's first name. Remember, you are to use the decedent's legal name and not what they went by or abbreviations. The death certificate is a legal document and must contain the legal name as it appears on the birth certificate unless the decedent had their name changed by the court or marriage. Touch the Tab key on the keyboard and enter the decedent's last name. Touch the Tab key on the keyboard and enter the decedent's sex. For faster entry, you can touch the M key for male or the F key for female and then Tab. You will now be on the date of death. The date is to be entered as month, date with 4 digits for the year. For speed, you do not need to put the slashes in between the month, date, and year. When you touch the Tab key, ROVER will put the slashes in for you. Make sure you use the Tab key on the keyboard. Next, you need to enter the decedent's date of birth. Enter the date of birth the same manner as you entered the date of death. When you touch the Tab key, you can hit the search button to begin your case. On the records list page, you will see the message, "There were no results that match your search." This means the system has cross-referenced the database and is telling you there is no record in the system with the first name, last name, sex, date of death, and date of birth information you entered. If a case had been entered by the medical examiner but not assigned to you, you would see the decedent's name shown and you could accept the case and continue entry. However, for this training, no record exists for the decedent. Click on Create New Case. Now that we've opened a new case for our decedent, we can see that ROVER is a tab-based system. At the top you see tabs 1 through 10. As a funeral director, you will be able to enter data into tabs 1 through 5 plus tab 10. You will also notice the information you entered to start the case has now populated over to tab 1. If the decedent has a middle name, go ahead and enter it. Tab down to last name before first marriage. If the decedent's last name is the same as their current last name, click the small box next to same as current last name. However, if their maiden name is different than their legal name, enter their last name before first marriage or maiden name in the field and tap down to the next section. Item 2 is the decedent's sex. The sex pre-populated over from the starting information. Tab down to the next section. In section 3, you will enter the decedent's social security number. As with the date of death, you do not need to enter the dashes and simply enter the 9-digit number and tab. The system will add the dashes for you and automatically advance you to tab 4. Was the decedent ever in the United States Armed Forces? Enter a Y for yes or N for no. Data purposes do not need to know the status of the decedent's discharge from the military, as if honorable or dishonorable, but simply as if they were ever in the United States service. Tap down to the next section. Since the date of death information is still populated from our initial search, tap down to the age measure box. This is how you are measuring the decedent's age. Enter Y for years, or for an infant, M for months, days, or H for hours, minutes. Once you have that selected, tap down to the next section and enter the correct age. Once you have entered the decedent's age, go ahead and tab. The date of birth is now highlighted. The date pre-populated over from the start information. Check the date and make sure you have the correct date. Tab out of the date of birth section. Because you have started a new record, you want to save your information. Additionally, you want to activate the Social Security verification. The verification will be initiated when the record is saved. To save the record and initiate the verification process, click on Finish. You will be on the ROVER warning screen. You will see all items that you have not completed. Go all the way to the bottom of the page and click on Save as Pending. On the Successful Transaction page, click on Return to Record. Your new record has now been saved. You will be taken back to tab 1 and you will see the verification status of the Social Security number you entered. We cannot see the verification status on our training record, but hopefully the message will show you that the number was verified. If the verification message is telling you the verification has failed, check the number you entered to make sure a data entry mistake has not occurred, and then call the informant and verify you were given the correct Social Security number. If the information is correct, go to the fields under and enter Verified with Informant. Do not try to manipulate the decedent's name trying to find a name to the number. Many times the name registered at Social Security is different or a different spelling than the legal name you entered. It is okay, and Social Security will be notified of the death and will sort out the name discrepancy at their end. If the number verified or you entered Verified with Informant, click on Next to move on to tab 2. Tab 2 is for the decedent's information. The decedent's birthplace is the first section for information entry. United States is already populated. If the country is somewhere other than the United States, begin typing the name of the country, and the country will appear. However, if the United States is correct, tap down to the state of their birth. Again, ROVER is built for speed. you can begin typing the state and the information will auto-populate for you. Tap down to the city list and begin typing the name of the city. When you are finished typing the name of the city, touch the Tab key to move down to item number 8. Enter the decedent's address. However, you will never enter a post office box as the address. If the decedent's address contained an apartment number or space number for a mobile home, enter the number in the apartment number field. If the address is not an apartment or space, do not enter anything in the field. Tap down and complete the rest of the information in 8, and then tap down to item number 9. For the marital status, you can type in M for married, W for widowed, D for divorced, or N for never married. Then hit the Tab key to move on. Based on the selection you made on the marital status filed, Rover will open up the correct fields 10, 11, and 12. Go ahead and enter the information pertaining to the surviving spouse and/or the parents in these sections. When you are finished, tab out of the field and click on the Next button to move on to tab 3. Tab 3 contains the decedent history information, including Hispanic origin, race, education, and occupation. You'll want to select the appropriate selection for each one. Once you select the decedent's Hispanic origin, tap down to item 14. Item 14 is for the race. Some people have more than one race. Click the race or races that apply to the decedent. If you select American Indian, the Indian tribe selection fields will open, and you will select the tribe or tribes of their race. When finished, tap to move on to item 15. Item 15 contains the decedent's education. Enter the highest level of education for the decedent, then tap to move on to the next item. Items 16 and 17 deal with occupation and type of industry of the decedent. Keep in mind, the occupation is what the person did when they went to work as an electrician, welder, or possibly have never worked. The kind of business or industry is the type of business, not the name of the business. So electrician could possibly be electric light and power utility. Welder could possibly be steel fabrication, and if they have never had some kind of job and have never worked due to a disability, then enter never worked. Tab over to click on the Next button to move on to tab 4. You are now at tab 4, the informant's information and the method of disposition for the deceased. Enter the informant's names by tabbing to move down through the fields. It will move you on down to the relationship. Type the relationship of the informant to the decedent and tab to move on. Then you will be moved to a small box beside address same as decedent's residence. If the informant lived at the same address as the decedent, click the small box and touch the tab key. The decedent's address will autofill for you. If the information in the decedent had different addresses, simply tab one more time and the address field will be available for you to enter the informant's address. Tab will move you on to the next field as you enter the address information. Continue to tab to the next section. If you look to the right side of the page, you will notice all 3 sections are yellowed out. Click on the box next to the method of disposition, then touch the tab key. You will notice the area or areas on the right will turn white depending on the method. Burial will open up the center section at the right for the name of the cemetery. If cremation is selected, the top and bottom sections will open up for the crematory information and the cremation permit information. If removal from state is selected, the center section will open up, allowing the information for the out-of-state facility to be entered. You can select more than one in this section, so if the decedent will be buried out of state, then you can select burial and removal from state or a combination of any of these options. When you have entered the appropriate information, tab out of the field and click Next to move on. Tab 5 contains your funeral home and funeral director information. When you log into ROVER, the system recognizes you and your facility according to your setup information. In items 22 through 24, you will see your funeral home and address. It is yellowed out because it is a set field according to your setup. Tab over to the first field under item 23, Funeral Director, where you see the option Oklahoma Funeral Directors. A list of the funeral directors assigned to your facility in the system will be listed here. Enter your name or the name of the funeral director who will be signing the record. Touch the tab key to hold the selection. Oklahoma does not require the embalmer information, so at this point you have completed entering data into this record. Now you need to tell the system what to do next. Click on tab 10. Think of tab 10 as the directional tab of ROVER. The information on tab 10 will direct the system to the appropriate area for completion of the record. First, you will notice the Comments Among Users About box. The Comments box is where you will enter helpful information for the online physician, the medical examiner, or us here at the state. Enter DOD for date of death, TOD for time of death, POD for place of death. When you have entered your comments, press the tab key to move on. There are 3 separate areas to send your record. The first is the Assign, Transfer, Notify Physician section. If the case is a burial, a natural death, and the medical examiner is not involved with the cause of death, you can send the case to the decedent's primary care physician for completion of the medical portion of the record. Our field services staff are currently training Oklahoma physicians on the ROVER system. To send a certificate to a physician for signing, an action under Assign, Transfer, Notify a Physician, hit the spacebar to open the drop-down box. Select Request Medical Certification. Hit Enter and then touch the tab key. The field beside Select Physician will turn blue. Hit your spacebar to open a list of the physicians currently trained on ROVER. Look over the list. If the decedent's physician has been trained in ROVER, their name will appear. Click on their name and then tab. You will see the assignment of the physician in the case history box at the lower right. If you do not see the doctor's name, it means the doctor has not been trained in the ROVER system. If you do not see the doctor's name, call the ROVER help desk. The second area is the Assign, Transfer, Notify Funeral Home section. On occasion, a family will begin a case with your funeral facility, only to come back and tell you they want to use another facility. Sometimes the family tells the medical examiner which facility will be handling the case, then they change their mind, but the ME has already assigned the case to you. You might have already started the case and have information entered. You can go to the Assign, Transfer, Notify Funeral Home and Transfer to another funeral home on the Action tab. Tab out and a listing of funeral homes will open. Go down the list until you find the funeral home for the transfer. Select the facility and tab. You will see the transfer noted in the case history box. The case will leave your open case queue and show on the new funeral home list when they log in. The third area is for the medical examiner assignment. If the case is a cremation or if the decedent is being transported out of state, the medical examiner must be notified. Both cremations and transports require a permit before the method can be carried out. Click on the field beside reason and open the drop-down listing. You can select either cremation permit or transport permit. Select the proper permit and tab. You will see the notification to the medical examiner for the permit in the case history box to the right. There are other times when a record must be referred to the medical examiner's office. If the decedent is under the age of 18, or the cause of death was not a natural cause, or death due to a fall. All three of these types of cases must be referred, and when you click on the reason field and open the drop-down selections, select Other. Touch the tab key and the Other Reason line opens up. You will free type the reason in the box. Entries such as decedent under age of 18, or unnatural death, or death as a result of a fall are examples of data to be entered for that reason. Touch tab and you will see the referral in the case history box to the right. One item to make note of: when you make any selection from one of the three sections on the side, you will see the action in the case history box. If you leave the case and come back later to do more data entry, the selections you made in the selection box will default back to Select. Do not reselect the assignment again. Always look at the case history box. If you see the assignment in the history box, do not reselect it. Multiple selections do not make the record go faster. If anything, they slow down the record and can cause the record to hang up. Always check the case history box first. You do not need to do any selections on the right side of this tab. You are now finished with the data entry portion of the death certificate. Click the Finish button to continue, and you will be sent to the ROVER warning screen. Notice how ROVER gives a few warnings before you completely save the record. Funeral homes must still sign or drop to paper, and a physician must certify the record are two standard warnings that will always appear. Any other warnings below are telling you some information is missing. The errors have a blue title with black descriptions under them. The blue title is a hyperlink, and clicking on it will take you to the appropriate tab in ROVER to correct information. After entering the missing information, click on Finish and you will be back to the ROVER warning screen. Some of the warning messages do not apply to you as a funeral facility. They are messages for the medical portion of the record. Even if you missed these questions, any error on this page can be bypassed, and you can at least save the record. This is important if you get interrupted or have to stop in the middle of completing a certificate. You can just save as pending with the errors and come back to complete the rest at any time. So scroll to the bottom of the page and click on Save as Pending. We are now on the Successful Transaction page. This page shows us that we can print a draft. Go ahead and click on Print. Now go ahead and click on Generate Document. From here you can print the document. We recommend that once you print the document, you show the family to verify that information is entered correctly and that everything is spelled correctly to move on with the process. Now you can close the window to get back to ROVER. Once you exit out of the draft screen, go ahead and click Continue to go back to the Successful Transaction screen. Now go ahead and click Main Menu to get completely out of this record to go back to our main page with the queue. If the record is being referred to a physician on ROVER, You will want to wait to sign the record until after the doctor has completed and certified their portion. Rover will give you a message on your main screen telling you the COD, cause of death, has been certified at the time. You as a funeral director can go into the record and sign. From the main screen, open cases, follow the case name across to the right and click on the word process. This will take you to tab 1 of the record. Click on finish and then click on save as pending. Under the heading of other options, you should see an option for sign now. Click on sign now. It will take you to the certify sign now confirm screen. Click on activate signing. Rover will ask you for a 4-digit PIN number to sign the record. Once you've entered your PIN and click continue, you will now see case successfully signed in the sign death case confirm screen. On this screen you will see registration status registered, personal information status signed, and medical information status certified. Go ahead and click continue when you are ready. You are now back on the successful transaction screen. You can now print a draft for your records. When the document has printed, you would click continue and go back to the successful transaction screen. You may now return to the main menu to continue processing other records in your queue. If changes need to be made, the record must be unsigned before changes are allowed. Contact Ask Rover either by email or phone for help with the unsigning process. Click the Logout button in the upper right corner. This is the end of our online Rover training. Please go back to the website to fill out a form with your personal information. There will also be a quiz in the form for you to complete. Once you are finished, you will need to save it and email it to us. We will review the form and get your account set up so you can be able to start using Rover. Thank you again.